Scorching temperatures and a desert valley can remind anyone of the sights and senses in the Arizona landscape, and tonight the Valley greets the WORC field for the first time in their season, with all of the drivers hoping that they can tame the heat. Good evening and welcome to coverage of the fourth race of the WORC Dynamo Designs National Series and the Cactus 125, live from the virtual Phoenix Raceway, as we bring you all the coverage right here on the KBueno Racing Network. So happy to have you along for the ride. We're up in the broadcast booth. My name is Kenneth Bueno. We are ready for our first short track race of this 2021-2022 season now, as we bring in the new year here on the KBueno Racing Network and for the WORC field, and we tame Avondale, Arizona as the first place to go for it all. This is, of course, the first short track event after multiple super speedway 1.5 mile tracks. We will finally take ourselves down to 1 mile and under here tonight from the Phoenix Raceway. It's going to be a very interesting challenge in the full field. Some new drivers, but familiar faces as well. And obviously previous winners going to be in this race into the entire field as they try to get qualifying underway right now. Why don't we take a look as to where we are in the virtual world first? Let's get an idea of where we sit in the Western Hemisphere. We are sitting at the Phoenix Raceway located in Avondale, Arizona. It is a 1 mile track. 1.609 kilometers, in fact. 8 to 9 degrees sit in turns 1 and 2, 10 to 11 degrees back in turns 3 and 4, 10 to 11 degrees in a dogleg, only 3 degrees on the back straightaway. This track has history dating all the way back to 1964. And on iRacing, this track is one of the newest of the bunch. This has been reconfigured and reinvigorated for the iRacing service. So, of course, you're going to see a brand new look here tonight from Phoenix. We have had Phoenix races before on this network. This is going to be a completely different look and probably going to be a better one than it's ever been with the lights on. We're going to have this brand new look at the Phoenix Raceway. Here's a look at exactly what you can see over on the top of your screen at the moment. There's the sunset over the horizon there and the mountains over in the Phoenix area, but you can just see where they changed the start-finish line. And that straightaway, what is the back straightaway now, used to be the front straightaway for Phoenix Raceway in the sim and in real life before, I believe, 2017 when they reconfigured this track, moved the start-finish line to the exit of what used to be turns 1 and 2, and now turns 1 and 2 is the flatter part of the racetrack. 2 different areas, which means 2 different challenges for the NASCAR Xfinity Series cars to tackle here tonight. But as drivers line up on the grid, we are ready for the start of this Cactus 125, and we will bring you trackside. We're all the way to the starting grid. We will have in just a couple of moments, but this track definitely one of the more interesting tracks because it is a short track, but it's not necessarily a common short track in NASCAR history. You would obviously see tracks 1 mile, such as the Dover International Speedway, which just changed to the Dover Motor Speedway as it was bought by SMI not too long ago. You can obviously tell some of the other short tracks, of course, the Richmond Raceway, which is just under a mile, the Bristol Motor Speedway, which is half a mile, same deal for what is the Martinsville Speedway, which we will not see in this series, and we're going to see shorter tracks as well when we go to Volusia Speedway, the first dirt track race of the season, and of course, when we go all the way to Irwindale Speedway in the middle of the season. That's going to be a lot of fun. But right now, drivers are sat on the grid, which means it is our time to take a look at your starting grid, see exactly where every driver and your favorite driver will be starting here tonight in the Cactus 125. On pole is the 76 of Brady Cox. He sets a 27.458, the fastest of the field. He will be the first driver to bring us to green flag racing alongside Harrison Mitchell in the 28. Lining up your first row, the 01 Nova Sim Racing Ford Mustang of Logan Pugh will line up the inside of that second row with Lucas Lyons in the 94. Close to the victory at Kansas Speedway not too long ago, he's going to try to get his first win of the Dynamo Designs National Series season as he starts on that outside in that row. Joe Berge in the 83 machine for Nova Sim Racing will be just behind his teammate in the 01 alongside the 80 of Christian Visconti. He has been hot on his heels. 2 wins in a row for the driver of the 80. He's going to look for 3 straight. That'll be his third of the season as he got the win last week at the Kansas Speedway. The 136 of Chris Brown lines up the inside over number 4, Dimitri Moundros in the 93. Still looking for his first win of the campaign. He will start in PA. Justin Haley in the 99 will round out the top 9 with Ezekiel Reyes in the 07 and his ACOG Chevrolet Camaro rounding out the current top 10. Garrett White, Shane DeMantova back to row number 6. It'll be DeMantova's first start in this series. Shane Fuller, Hunter Collier back to row 7. Brayson Collins, league owner, and Ethan Workman back to P16 before you find Ryan Martin in the 9. The 977 of Richard Mendonça also in his very first start. Timmy Spatz, Quentin Haley all the way back to P20. Ethan Harrison, Aaron Giffen back to P22. Nathan Christensen, Frederick Seagraves in row number 12. Landon Dawson, Mason Sweet back to 26. Those are the final drivers to set qualifying times. Parker White, Gene O'Mara, Mitch Hobbs, Jay Mulder, DJ Powell, Nick Penna, and Connor Trafari round out your entire field here tonight from Phoenix. So the pace car is already down. It's a long route back to what is turn number 1. Now it is the start-finish line here at Phoenix Raceway. You're ready to get things started. Happy that you're with us here on the KBueno Racing Network. Cox, Mitchell to the green flag as we go underway from Phoenix. Brady Cox first to the line to lead lap 1, but the caution already comes out as everybody tries to fan out. We're going to try to find out exactly what may have happened. It may seem some damage here to the 4 of Aaron Giffen. We saw him with a tough outing at Kansas last week in the Kansas 120. It looks as though Giffen might be in trouble this time around on the opening lap. Everybody was fanning out, maybe 3-4 wide in some cases. But for Aaron Giffen, looks like he was on the very top side before everything started to go right. Here he is behind the 89 of Mitch Hobbs. This is near the rear of the field, and actually it looks like he got tagged from behind. Not exactly sure which driver that was, but you can see as he's riding just back there. He's trying to get a look, but just goes around all by his lonesome and then goes striking for the outside wall. That's what gave him the damage, and that's what brings us under caution for the very first time tonight. Giffen down pit road already. I believe the 68 also with some heavy damage. The 4 goes Aaron Giffen down pit road. The 68 machine looks like he's already taken it to pit road. He may have already taken it to the garage as well. And so we're under caution for the very first time here in Avondale, Arizona. So Brady Cox already with a really good start. We had a bunch of drivers almost 3-4 wide for P2 on back. Saw Joe Berge in his machine go for position. He doesn't seem to be prevalent right now in the top 10. Looks like he may have fallen out significantly, or maybe he just hit pit road. Actually, there he is in 21st, so I believe that he's all the way back through the field, and I believe he's going to take a trip down pit road this time by, and so we will still remain under caution. But of course, Phoenix Raceway, a very welcome addition into the iRacing platform after the old configuration had been around for so long. This brand new style of racing at Phoenix definitely changes the approach that you have here at this track, because usually you'd expect the run to be off of what used to be turns 3 and 4, that flatter part of the racetrack where you really have to manage throttle control. That's not as important anymore. It is still important to make a lap around this track, but it is not as important when it comes down to going for the finish, because you want to dive deep into what is now NASCAR 3 and 4 here at Phoenix, which is the higher banked portion of the racetrack, and that's what gets you to the start-finish line. You have to carry a lot of momentum, and that's actually what brought Daniel Hemrick his very first NASCAR Xfinity Series championship, brought the momentum going into 3 and 4 in Phoenix Raceway, brought him to the inside of Austin Cindric, and brought him to the Xfinity Series championship. We're going to go back to green flag racing, though, with the Xfinity Series cars. It's Brady Cox, all single file with Harrison Mitchell, of course, with that caution coming out on lap 1. We will have our single file start, and we would just try to wait, see if we can get some green flag laps. So this 83 lapper here in the Desert Valley. Pace truck well already down pit road waiting for the command. Barney the flagman has it in stock, and Brady Cox takes the green flag. Let's see if we can get some green laps here from Phoenix. Already the quick getaway for the 76. They battle behind him. It's Logan Pugh, of course, there. He looks to the inside as he right on board with his 01 going straight for the bottom underneath Harrison Mitchell. It looks like he'll be able to complete the pass for P2. Remember, we saw Logan Pugh go hard into the safer barrier just last week in America's Heartland. Barely shuts the door and gets the bumper from the 28. He's going to go sideways, and he's going to be able to save the race car. Not sure how he was able to do that. Everybody goes by, and Pugh all of a sudden was looking for second, and he's getting swarmed by the entire field. all the way back. He falls to 7. That's the 11. Justin Haley, NASCAR Xfinity Series driver for KBueno Racing. He now moves to the inside. It's his first trip into the top 5 tonight. Chris Brown just ahead of him. And as they're side-by-side, that's Garrett White here. Under fire from Ezekiel Reyes in the 07. That's the 93 of Dimitri Manjos. And Garrett White, driver we saw dominate the Kansas 120 before unfortunately being involved in an incident. He got sent to the rear of the field and was not able to pick it all back up. He was very close within the top 5, top 10. But for the driver of the 26, you got to look at a redemption effort tonight here from Phoenix as the first short track race of the season. This is a good look here from his onboard cockpit of his Toyota Supra as he tries to look at the battle. That's Logan Pugh just ahead. Dimitri Round just trying to put the fire. Christian Visconti right in front of them as they try to figure themselves out. Visconti already making his way up to what is P6 on the track. They scattered for a bit. So I believe a checkup happened around where the 01 was. 26 is going to take the spot. But Christian Visconti has been hot on fire. He definitely has been the hottest driver in this series. Remember, he took the win at the Atlanta Motor Speedway for his first win of the campaign. Did well at Daytona the week before. Just was not able to get the win on that side. Got the win, though, in the second race, and then just picked it back up. A last lap pass all the way to the start-finish line. It was a photo finish, and he was able to get the win. That was his second straight win of the season, and he's looking for 3 in a row. Already some rear-end damage, though, on the 80 machine. He tries to work the high side, defending against Dimitri Manjos. However, so far for Visconti, not complaining whatsoever with the season that he's had up to this point. And 2 wins to take what is the points lead at this moment in time definitely means a lot. Look at Harrison Mitchell get way loose at the exit of 3 and 4. That's Lucas Lyons in the 94 trying to go to the inside. He's got help here from Justin Haley right on board with the Chevrolet Camaro. We down to the bottom. It looks like Mitchell struggling just a bit with his race car, but as they're battling, it all allows Brady Cox to run away. They work through. There's Manjos now underneath Brown. Manjos making a really good start of this race. Of course, started back in 8th, but now he's up to the top 5, and he's trying to bring a line of cars with him. Of course, mentioned Garrett White, mentioned Christian Visconti. There's Ezekiel Reyes in the 07, just on the far side, and they're all trying to get around what is sort of an ailing 136. There goes Chris Brown now all the way to the top side, so he's going to follow through and position. Everybody's going to go down. And so this is a really tough start here for Brown. And one thing that is very unique to the Phoenix Raceway that we don't see a lot as we run on board here with Shane DiMantova in the 20 machine, his very first start in this series, is the dog leg. This track at Phoenix Raceway does utilize the dog leg at the exit of what is 3 and 4 going to the start-finish line. You'll see it here as you ride on board with this Toyota Supra. Everybody scans out. But as you see when you exit out here, start-finish line, there's a large section of apron track that is free game. Anybody can go down there as long as, of course, you don't try to make contact with anybody else or hit the inside wall. You just want to make sure that you get all the momentum possible, and that has been used to make pivotal passes on the racetrack in real life and in the sim. So when you look at Phoenix Raceway, the dog leg is definitely going to be there. It's one of the unique parts about this racetrack that stands out more than really any short track we see on the calendar. So the dog leg, you only see it once a year or once a season here in the WORC Dynamo Designs National Series. So you may want to use it to your advantage. Battle for 7th on the way. That's the 07 of Ezekiel Reyes, Lucas Lyons in the 94. Looks like Lyons lost a lot of ground after taking P2 away. His car's starting to fall off just a little bit. He works to the inside. That's Shane DiMantova next on the chopping block. And trying to get him next here as the 07 finally clears. And the 07, watching his stream a little bit earlier, he mentioned how he was fastest on the board. Really confused on he was able to do it. That 07 already with a good run so far, and he was top 5 just a couple of weeks ago at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. This, though, is the raging fire, the Hornet's Nest, as we call it. That's Justin Haley there. The 11, the Leaf Filter Chevrolet Camaro. He's now under fire from Christian Visconti. And a good look at Garrett White in the 26. They clear to the outside, and now it's Haley versus Visconti back to turn 3. Good look so far as it looks like Ezekiel Reyes is now on the charge. He's going to go to the inside. Shane DiMantova mentioned him as he was attempting to get around Lucas Lyons. He's going to get there as a big checkup occurs out of turn 2. That was Di Mantova that got way out of shape trying to check up for Visconti, almost tagging the outside wall. So Lucas Lyons goes back to the inside. He's going to try and fend for what is going to be the entrance into P number 8, just inside the top 10. Everybody all scattering around, trying to get as much momentum as they possibly can. Garrett White now makes the move to third. Dimitri Maljos, he was in a battle. We saw him a little bit not too long ago, and so he's already moved up to P2. A bit of attack wall there from the 28 of Harrison Mitchell. Justin Haley to the inside as Haley tries to keep himself into this top 5. Meanwhile, though, Brady Cox has extended it to about 3.4, 3.5 seconds on the racetrack, and we didn't see this 76 do all too well. Got caught up in some troubles, I believe, at Daytona to open the season. It hasn't been the greatest campaign to start in the WORC Dynamo Designs National Series for this 76, but Brady has surely been able to show out to the rest of the field tonight at Phoenix and just continues to set the faster lap out of anyone in the top 5. And he just continues to reach in that lead and make sure that nobody else can get to him. Best part, though, for second on back is they've officially cleared. So now they're able to mostly race the leader instead of racing each other for position. Remember, we saw them almost 2-3 wide at some points during this race. And so it's probably better to see them single file when they're able to catch up to the leader, instead of being all the way to the back and trying to fight each other and in turn losing time with the driver extending it out front. Further through the field so far, it seems as though the battle for about second on back has calmed down. Everybody from about 15th to 20th seem to be in their own groove. Here's Jay Mulder, the 51 machine, just working to the inside. That's Timmy Spatz in the 44. We've seen these two compete well within the first handful of races. Haven't had the best of luck these two have, but nonetheless looking for a better one and a cleaner one tonight at best. We've only had that first caution involving the 4 of Aaron Giffen. I believe a battle underway here. Indeed it is. Ryan Martin, here he is to the inside of Ethan Workman. We saw Ethan Workman do well at Atlanta Motor Speedway a couple of weeks back, just close of the race win. Tonight, not the best outing for him in the first 22 laps, but definitely not the worst. It could be a good start to just have a clean race. It looks like the 9 of Martin is finally able to clear. Bit of a chop there out of the 94 of Lucas Lyons. Tried to get the best in defense of that number 01 of Logan Q. And luckily he's been able to do that for the moment. Everybody fans to the dog leg and goes back to turn 3. And obviously I mentioned earlier in the show just the difference between the two sides of the racetrack. When you go 1 and 2, you might want to attack it differently than you would in 3 and 4. We're going to look here from Lucas Lyons, and we'll have a better perspective as to how you attack this Phoenix Raceway. This is 3 and 4, more banked. You want to stick it all the way to the inside, but at the same time, you also want to carry that momentum, and you can carry in turn more speed because you have more banking there. It can catch your tires and catch your car a lot more. This part of the track, though, turns 1 and 2, which used to be 3 and 4 to set up for the start-finish line, a lot more shallower, less banking on the racetrack, so you're not going to find as much of that leaning as you would in the other section of the track. You most likely typically use the throttle control, kind of modulate your way around it. That's been sort of the key for many drivers, and even in this part of the track, just downshifting has been able to get the revs on their highest mark and, of course, get better acceleration off the corners. You've seen a couple of drivers do that already, Lyons being one of them. Of course, many of the leaders have tried shifting down to third when their RPMs get too low. We've seen it with different cars on this track, most notably the next-gen cars, where you shift all the way down to 4th from 5th gear in that sequential gearbox, and then you'll be able to keep the RPMs wound up out of the corner. You'll be able to get better acceleration. That's what seems to be helping many of the competitors tonight, just trying to keep themselves locked in on the gearbox, making sure that they can get the best movement out of their race car. We may see a battle for second on the way because Dimitri Malandros starting to fall off just a little bit. Garrett White now on the attack. So Garrett White trying to make a move and trying to, of course, find redemption from last week in the Kansas 120 where he had dominated up until the very end. Remember, Malandros was one of the heavy hitters there at the front of the field, and now inside, Garrett White for P2. White makes the pass complete. Everybody trying to single themselves out. Seems to be a battle between what is Parker White here, the North Force Racing, as he's now on that team. The Snowman Studios, though, Toyota Supra working his way around Ezekiel Reyes, and a caution comes out. It it's our second caution of the evening. And as everybody slows down, we're going to try to find out exactly who it may have been. There may have been some damage there, the 52 of Nick Penna. And as everybody slows down, some damage issued to the 71 of Gino Merrill. We'll try to find out whether Merrill may have been involved in the mess here tonight, whether it was somebody else on the racetrack. Saw a bit of a pack up there going on to the dog leg, so that may have been an issue on this part of the track. Just try and find out. See here, this is the 4 of Aaron Giffen. Seems to be no problems there. May have been a problem, I believe, out of turn 4, because I believe I saw one car spinning down to the dog leg. It seems as though no real trouble when that yellow flag indeed comes out. And so didn't really see anybody around, didn't see anybody in that tough of a spot by the time it started to fly. So the main leaders, pretty much everybody began to slow down. Didn't seem to be that big of a push. I believe one driver may have gone around completely. I believe maybe Ryan Martin. We'll try and see exactly whether Martin was involved or whether he had a different exit. He was just by himself, so no exact incident from him. Now, this is the second time we end up under yellow, which means everybody is down pit road. And it seems as though Brady Cox has won the fight. Garrett White just behind him. There are some of the leaders coming out right now. But it seems as though Garrett White got a really good jump. Justin Haley was able to move over to third. Parker White got the best of Ezekiel Reyes. Remember, we saw him putting the pressure by the time the yellow flew. And Dimitri Maldos with a bit of a slower stop all the way to P7. Have a total of 13.8 seconds on his race car for service. Everybody most likely with 4 tires and fuel. So that'll bring the field back together. We may not confirm that Brady Cox will not be able to pull away from the rest of the field as we get through what's going to be closer to halfway here, probably around 10 to 11 laps away from our official cross flag section of tonight's Cactus 125. We'll line them up once again. Brady Cox on row 1, Garrett White to his outside, Justin Haley, Parker White back to row number 2, Dimitri Maldos and Ezekiel Reyes will be back to row number 3 and P6 before you find Harrison Mitchell, Shane DiMantoba, Lucas Lyons, and Christian Visconti to your top 10. This is the most controversial part though about the Phoenix Raceway. The restarts. Pace truck can go down, leader can go at any time he chooses, but he will wait a little bit longer. Continue to wait until they get to what is 3 and 4. They'll be back on the restart zone. Barney the flagman will have the green flag in tow. We'll go back under green here in this Cactus 125. Brady on the way, 76 on the gas. We're back under green from Phoenix. And a big start there. Look at Justin Haley diving to the inside. He went 3 wide into the dog lane. That's Parker White all the way up top. Garrett White stuck in the middle. And as they come out of turn 2, Justin Haley way out of shape, going to be able to save it. Leaders all over the place. Where are they going? Caution, big crash behind them. A car tipping over on its side. It's Lucas Lyons. And the caution will wave once again. Looked like a bad idea that everybody was 3-4 wide out of turn 2 in the lead pack. And the 94, who have been doing well up until this point, sends it straight back to pit road. His car is completely totaled. We'll take a look and see exactly how this all started. But turn 2 was really the biggest focal point out of any part in this racetrack. Everybody dives in. Look for the 94. Trying to find a way. I believe he may have gotten tagged out of turn 2. Actually, no. It looked like Harrison Mitchell in the 28 went around just in front of Christian Visconti. And as they were packing in, trying to slow as much as they could, they just could not have enough time to react. There's the 28 going around, the smoke getting pillowed out of that Toyota Supra, and then just a big slam from Lyons as he goes end over end, side over side, before landing on all 4 Goodyear Eagles. It was a tag there from Logan Pugh, and then the second hit that sent him over. You saw Harrison Mitchell there, not too far away. Shane Fuller, looks like he got tagged in this as well. His car went for a little bit of a ride. 94 obviously getting the worst of it. Here's on board with 57 of Shane Fuller as he comes out of turn 2. Just tagged the wall. There's Spats. There's Aaron Giffen. Both of them make extra contact on that end, giving some extra crinkles there on the front end of Fuller Chevrolet Camaro. Remember, we saw Fuller in the top 3 at the end of the Atlanta race not too long ago, and so Fuller sent it down pit road. His car is going to need some extensive damage repair. There are no fast repairs here in the WORC Dynamo Designs National Series, so if you do get your car into some sort of trouble, you're going to have to get it fixed all down pit road. You're going to have to spend all the time down there, and so you do not want to find yourself in that position. Unfortunately for Brady Cox, or not for Brady Cox, well, unfortunate for Brady Cox in the terms that he cannot pull away from the field, everybody behind him, but Lucas Lyons, the unfortunate part for him is that he most likely will be out of this race unless he can stay down pit road and get all of the damage assessed. So as we're under caution once again in the Cactus 125, it's a good time to remind you that the broadcast of tonight's WORC Dynamo Designs National Series from the Phoenix Raceway is brought to you by Dynamo Designs, your one-stop shop for all of your iRacing design needs. It starts at just $5 per scheme. You can message Josh Patterson on Discord at Josh Patterson, #9212, or on Facebook at JP Designs to get him working on your iRacing design today. Special thanks to Dynamo Designs for their support of this WORC Dynamo Designs National Series, and we will see their support all season long as they provide a lot of the paint schemes for this field. So great to have them on board and great to have them part of our initial campaign. So I believe we're going to get the one to screen signal this time by with the iRacing official pace truck. It lines up like this. Brady Cox, of course, your race leader. He has led pretty much every lap since the drop of the green. Garrett White has moved merely to second. He's going to try and take it all away from the 76. See if he can do so on the next restart. NASCAR Xfinity Series driver Justin Haley will be on the inside over number 2. Ezekiel Reyes has moved up to 4th after that move out of the second corner before they wrecked behind them. Dimitri Mandos has now wrapped up the top 5 in his Red Bull Ford Mustang. Cheney Mantova, after making his first start tonight and trying to bear through the desert valley and go through the entire WORC field, done a good job of doing so all the way from P12. He's now up to P6 in that Martin Sports Toyota Supra. Hunter Collier in the 98, not too far behind. Remember, we saw Collier as a front runner at the Kansas Speedway before, of course, falling on the old tires after staying out. Chris Brown in the 136, not too far away in P8. Ryan Martin and Ethan Workman currently round out your top 10. A nice move from Ryan Martin, Ethan Workman, after, remember, they were battling not too far outside of the top 15. It's going to be a good look for them as they can finally tag over to the front of the field. Single file restart this time by from the Phoenix Raceway. Brady Cox, your race leader, trying to get away from Garrett White and everybody else. Remember, he was up to 3.5 seconds over the field. And as he goes back on the gas, we're back under green from Phoenix. Cox all the way back to turn 1. Decent getaway for the 76. A little loose out of the 07 of Ezekiel Reyes back in P4. Going to be able to stay green this time. Looks like the driver of the 26 is finding his way. This is the closest the leaders have been all night long, apart from the drop of the green flag. So Garrett White trying to make the most out of this opportunity. Remember, everybody went down pit road about 8 to 9 laps ago, so the tires are still rather fresh. Here comes Garrett White inside for the race lead. And Cox strikes the outside wall. Here comes Justin Haley to the bottom side for 3rd. Justin Haley to the bottom, and it looks like Brady may have fallen all the way through the field. He's going to get chased by everybody to the dog leg. Now that's Reyes to the inside. Dimitri Mandos the next to attack, and Garrett White becomes your new race leader in the Cactus 125. Looks like Cox falls all the way back to 4th. That 76 did such a good job pulling away from the field every single lap, and at this point of the race now struggling with this Chevrolet Camaro to get back up to snuff. As here comes the 98, that's Hunter Collier. This is the move for the inside of the top 5, and this will be the lowest that we see that 76 all race long. It's separated though from 1st all the way back to 4th. This is the first battle you see within the field. Everybody else kind of simmering between themselves. Here's Joe Berge trying to move underneath Jay Mulder for what is P12 on the racetrack. Can't do it though all the way to the bottom, and so everybody will fan out once again. Everybody moving straight for the dog leg, and it is just getting tougher and tougher for that 76. Now falling back, here's Ethan Workman next on the attack. on board here with Workman, finally getting his way to the inside. It looks like that 76 is just getting freight trained, can't find his way back to the dominant line here at Phoenix Raceway, and it is just putting him under all sorts of pressure. There's Ryan Martin, Chris Brown, look at Parker White send his way all the way to the inside. He was a driver that we saw move up to the field before, one of the most recent yellows, and now he ends up all the way to the bottom underneath the 76 to move into 7. Cox is starting to really fall back after getting taken advantage of on that restart. Garrett White was really able to push it to the bottom underneath for the lead, give Cox a bit of a run for his money, and all of a sudden, that 76 is starting to fall by the wayside. Everybody now swarming. Garrett White, clear the race lead, not too far away though. Justin Haley trying to take some move. Look at the strength of Justin Haley as NASCAR Xfinity Series driver, how well he's done in the second-ranked NASCAR Series, just below the NASCAR Cup Series. You see Haley compete in the NASCAR Cup Series, technically has a win at the Daytona International Speedway. Coke 0400 after it was rained out in the middle of the summer. He was able to take his very first win for this team, the FOE car at the time, his Chevrolet Camaro, definitely doing well up until that point. And Justin Haley now has done significant progress here at the Phoenix Raceway. You're right on board with him, and he's not letting Garrett White pull away. It's not like White is really able to spread himself apart from the rest of the field like we saw the 76 do in the opening stint. The 11 of Haley is really able to reel him in and keep White on his toes, and I think that's the most important part. Even for Justin Haley, you want to put the pressure. You don't necessarily need to make any standout moves. You don't necessarily need to put yourself in the spotlight too quickly. Just keep yourself there, keep yourself present, and that presence alone is going to make White play his cards differently. Maybe he's going to overdrive the car in the rest of the segment, knowing that he's got a car right in his rearview mirror, or maybe he just tries to push it a little too much. Maybe he tags the outside wall. Maybe he just knowingly gets into an incident without knowing it just because he's focusing so much on the car behind him. So while Haley continues to put the pressure, although he was almost a full tenth slower that last time by, just having himself there is really enough to keep himself among the pack of the contention for the lead. Here's Ezekiel Reyes. We saw him once fastest in practice not too long ago in this session. So far, the 07 doing good, but he's going to have to move back because a caution comes out. And it may have been Brady Cox in the 76, and indeed it is. Caution waves for your pole sitter. Remember, we saw him falling through the field. There's some damage to the left rear of his car. Same deal on the left front. And as we just got under halfway in this race, the 76 in just a myriad of trouble this time by. We'll try to see exactly what happened, whether he got tagged going into turn 1. This is him fighting against the 51 at Jay Mulder, the Canadian. There's Joe Bergen, the Nova Sim Racing Supra right there. He gives the shove. I believe may have been some help going into the corner. And actually, indeed, right there, the slight tap from the 83 gets the 76 out of shape. An extra tap from the 95. I believe that was Frederick Seagraves. Actually, no, not Frederick Seagraves. Another car that does have a similar paint scheme, but Brady Cox just gets a slight tap. All of a sudden, the car goes exactly around right on board here with the 76. The slight tap goes on, and the smoke starts to come out. That second hit definitely did it for him, and not necessarily race-ending damage for the driver of the 76, but this is not something to really scoff about. This is some significant crinkles to his car, and that may affect his aerodynamic performance, maybe the engine performance on his Camaro. By the time we continue this race, there's a 76 down pit road. Pretty much everybody has made their way for service, and it looks like Dimitri Moundros may have beaten everybody off pit road. And indeed he did. The 93 really able to strike amongst everybody in the field, but it's only a 5.5 second stop. So I believe this is only fuel or maybe one-sided tires here. Parker White is able to come out in second. Garrett White, your former race leader, was out to P6, and it looks like Justin Haley may have been one of the biggest losers out of the entire movement here. I think he may have pulled it behind the garage. Indeed he has. So he's already 2 laps down here tonight. Unfortunately for Justin Haley, he's so good. Tonight practice 125. Hunter Collier then will assume the race lead. We'll see P.J. Mulder and Chris Brown end up taking a trip down pit road. I believe they are going to make their case known and they're going to stay out front. Still Continuing here, more than halfway through the Cactus 125 for round number 4 of the WORC Dynamo Designs National Series from the Phoenix Raceway. You're watching live coverage right here on the KBueno Racing Network. Don't go anywhere. We've got more next. Back live from the virtual Phoenix Raceway for coverage of the Cactus 125. Kenneth Bueno here in the broadcast booth, and caution flag has waved once again. Everybody slows down after a restart gone wrong. It looks like it may have been Nick Penn in the 52 involved in it. Everybody scattered through. Everybody immediately slowed down out of turn 2. We have ourselves another yellow in this race. We'll try to find out exactly what may have happened, and we'll diagnose that the 52 may have been involved. I believe he was part of this incident. It was actually Chris Brown that went around. Not sure whether he had some help. Remember him on the restart, he started up front on old tires, and there's the answer for the incident right there. Looks like tags himself with Dimitri Mondos coming out of turn 4. Right there, going to the dog leg, just rides a little bit high. 93 gets into him. A big slam out of the 136, and then coming across the track is the 52 of Pena, and the body armor Ford Mustang, who had not had the best of nights all night long up until this point. Unfortunately, he finds himself in the mayhem, and this may deal the end of Chris Brown's night here tonight from the virtual Phoenix Raceway. And so we have one of the cars taken out, unfortunately, in this race. A bit of damage assessed to Dimitri Mondos, so he will go down pit road. Unfortunate for him. Remember, we saw some of the damage assessed to him last week at the Kansas Speedway in sort of similar fashion. Just a little bit worse this time around, but heavy rear end damage there on the right rear. May affect the car aerodynamically on the spoiler side of things. Downforce not going to really like that. Hunter Collier, Jay Mulder, the two drivers who had stayed out on the green flag stint, will still remain out on the racetrack. We'll take a moment and see if they do end up going down pit road anytime soon. Although it doesn't look like it's going to be the case. We're going to try and catch up to the iRacing official pace truck, and we'll have everybody packed in. We'll have everybody back in it as we go from 30 laps to go here in the Cactus 125. And while we're already halfway through this race here from the Phoenix Raceway, we'll try to give you our race summary so far in this event as we bring you our race summary presented to us by Supermix. Hunter Collier, your current race leader, after staying out on the oldest tires of the field. We've completed 52, now going to make 53 laps out of the 83 scheduled for tonight. We will have officially 30 laps to go at the mark of the start-finish line cross. We've had a total of 2 lead changes. This, of course, will be the most recent with Hunter Collier out front. We've had a total of 5 cautions tonight for a total of 16 laps. That's your race summary presented to us by Supermix. So it looks like Jay Mulder, Hunter Collier are going to make this gamble known. They're going to stay out on the racetrack, and was a little bit dangerous for the 136 of Chris Brown. So we'll see if it poses any more danger to the two up front, because we've seen in any sort of racetrack, of course, Atlanta was one of the biggest racetracks, one of the most unique racetracks where you can see that happen. But here at Phoenix, of course, when you have old tires and you put it against the new rubber, definitely isn't the best situation if you're on the old tire side of things, and you're going to get absolutely swarmed. We saw the 136 of Chris Brown. He got sort of overwhelmed a little bit, so it resulted in the incident. Really had nowhere to go. He was about middle 3 wide before the incident happened. So we're not sure whether the same will fall through for the 98 and the 51. We're just going to have to find out. Luckily for them, though, they're going to be single file by the time we go back green, because, of course, according to WORC rules, if a caution does come out before 5 laps after the restart happened, if they go 5 laps after the restart and they do have a caution, then they will double them up. But if the caution does come out before they complete 5 laps on a restart, they go single file, just to ensure that they can keep everybody in order and in accordance, so that we don't have any more incidents here tonight from Phoenix, and they can continue on racing. So Pace Truck will make itself all the way down to pit road, and we'll go straight for the entrance, and we will have Hunter Collier, Jay Mulder, the oldest tire cars in the field, to the green flag. Of course, Collier has discretion. He can go anytime he wants after the truck comes down. But for the moment, he will wait a little bit more, wait for the restart zone to approach. And as Barney the flagman waves the green flag, the Peak Racing Toyota Supra brings us back to green in the Cactus 125. Parker White absolutely taking no time to get up to the front of the field. He moves himself underneath Jay Mulder, and next up on the block is the 98 of Hunter Collier. Garrett White is yet to make a move for third. So the 95 of Parker White definitely already being aggressive here in the opening start. Right to the back bumper he'll go. Bit of a slide up out of the 98. And here comes Parker to the inside for the race lead. The fresh tires, White has the advantage. Now Garrett White still loses around in fourth. Ryan Martin has worked his way into the top 5. Everybody, though, on back in an absolute hornet's nest. Ethan Workman now under fire. There's Ezekiel Reyes, Christian Visconti, 2-time winner this season, DJ Powell. But we haven't seen him all night long after being involved in one of the opening incidents tonight. His 68 Chevrolet Camaro. There's Shane DiMantova all the way to the inside. Timmy Spatz, Shane Fuller. It is an absolute crowd all the way from about 5th on back before the race lead. It's remained calm. Garrett White has moved himself into 3rd. Hunter Collier still remaining calm on the old tires. But for the moment, that 95 stays out front. Now here comes Garrett to the inside. His Clemson Supra underneath another Supra for position number 2. We go all the way to the bottom side. Try to find a way around Parker White, not too far ahead. But Collier is going to remain calm. He's going to remain composed, and he's going to stick a bit of contact between the two coming out of turn 2. White's going to be able to survive. Fortunately, before the moment, Hunter Collier just remains stuck back. And that was a really tough situation for both of them. It looks like things have calmed from about 5th on forward. Christian Visconti now we're to the inside of Ethan Workman. There's former race leader and pole sitter tonight, Brady Cox. Remember, he got involved in an incident earlier in this race. And so with 23 laps to go, the 76 trying to pierce his way back to the front outside Ethan Workman. This is for P9. Talk about how good Brady Cox has been tonight, especially given the fact that he was able to really surmount over everybody, take over the lead, and really put a gap amongst himself and everybody else. But in the middle of the field, it's gone significantly harder with a driver in Parker White, the North Force camp driver, all the way at the front of the field with Garrett White not too far behind. It is going to get increasingly harder. Look at Shane DiMantova. He goes to the inside. Looks like Jay Mulder was able to make the pass for 3rd. Although that won't last long, because there goes the 20. The Supra now out in front into the final spot of the podium with 22 laps to go. And we'll see everybody else come at the same time, because, of course, fresh tires are going to help. Ezekiel Reyes in this group as well. Christian Visconti, Brady Cox. Everybody we're watching so far from just outside of the top 10, they're going to be able to surmount. They're going to be able to put on the pressure here, and it will be really helpful for them as they try to get around. route Parker White has taken tonight. 27th, all the way to the race lead for the moment. And he's been able to really take advantage of this opportunity. We saw him start to rear the field. And remember, this is his first start, along with guys like Shane DiMantova. So it's already been a great outing for both of those drivers, as in their first entrance, their first debut race in this series and in this inaugural season, they've been really able to put themselves up the top of the pedestal. And as DiMantova works in third, the only driver he has to catch now is Garrett White before he gets to his other debut driver in Parker White. There's Ezekiel Reyes to the inside of Hunter Collier. Looks like Christian Visconti in a battle of his own with Brady Cox. They're all trying to get around the old tire cars. They get a little tough as Visconti may have to check up there out of turn 2, give way for Cox. And now here comes Merrill. 3 wide. Bit of a shot from Cox, bit of contact onto Collier. They're going to be able to keep it straight now. Merrill's going to make its way almost 4 wide of the dog leg. And somehow, some way, they all keep it straight. Joe Berge, the next entrant into this fight. And Gino Merrill, after stepping up out of nowhere, is going to be able to grab it at P6. There's Visconti, bottom 3 wide. Joe Berge now to the bottom. His Nova Sim Racing Supra looking for as much as he can get. And the 98 of Collier just struggling on the old tires. It looks like Jay Mulder has had a better fate, although he's got some heavy front-end damage to his Dunk Chevrolet Camaro. But he's been able to survive for the most part. But he's going to be able to get swarmed here, most likely by Merrill, by Cox, by Visconti, by all these guys on the newer tires. And you may think whether this call was even worth it out of the drivers up front for that track position. Because if we stay green, that call is definitely not going to end up in the best places of the entire field. There's the gap so far between Parker White and Garrett White, the 2 white drivers. The 982 and the 226 so far, the 2 Supras. Right now only within about a second of each other, or rather a full half-tenth of each other. That's the gap back to Shane DiMantova, so a good margin there for White to get around DiMantova. And so Parker White will stay up front. He will remain in the race lead as we come to the final laps of this race. It is only going to get increasingly difficult over the long run, and we've seen Parker White as a entrant into Rotoplo earlier in 2021. He's going to be looking for the campaign in 2022 with North Force Racing, one of the top tier teams in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series. They've had their fair share of prevalent drivers in their camp. And so far, it looks like Parker White is really able to shred it amongst the field. He has gapped the 26 by another full 3/10. So after it was about half a second, it's now almost 8/10 of a second as they all try to get around and maintain themselves on the track. Just pray for another yellow not to come out at this stage of the race. Seems as though everybody so far, for the moment, they've all been able to remain calm apart from this battle here. There's Brady Cox just in front of Joe Berge. But it seems as though really everybody has been able to find their footing, to find a little bit of their pace, and be able to get into their rhythm. It's kind of been a struggle all night here in the Cactus 125 just because of the reoccurrence of yellow flags. But with the long green flag run that we're having at this point, I believe this is one of the longest ones, if not going to be the longest run if we stay green. It's going to help everybody to get into the rhythm, and I think if you're the race leader, it's going to help a lot more. Here's on board with Shane Fuller. Looks like he's going to let Timmy Spatz by. He was in a multi-lap battle there with the 56 of Mason Sweet. We saw 256 cars. I know Frederick Seagraves was one of them. We mentioned him as a possibility in one of the incidents in turn number 3 involving Brady Cox, but it seems as though it was a 56 in his car that was involved. That bright pink Chevrolet Camaro was one of the main victims in that incident. But everybody else so far up until this point of the race, they've all been able to remain calm. I think this may open the door for a brand new race winner. We've had only 2 different winners so far in this WORC Dynamo Designs National Series. It's of course only been Benjamin White, who won the season opener at Daytona in a very bizarre green-white checkered finish. And then we saw Christian Visconti take away both of the 1.5 milers. He is still yet to be beaten on the intermediate side. Took the win first off at Atlanta Motor Speedway in the final laps in the long run, and then of course on the last lap pass to Gino Merrill going to the start-finish line, Visconti was able to grab win number 2 of the campaign. But we may see a third different winner, and it may be a driver that might not show up for the rest of the season. but it's a contender nonetheless in this series. And now he's only 10 laps away from his first ever win. Look on board Gino Mero, his 71 Ford Mustang, definitely doing good tonight. Started 28th. Remember, we talked about Parker White starting 27th tonight. Gino Mero has done a rather solid job of putting himself at the forefront of the conversation after he started 28th. Now he's moved up into 5th, and there he is trying to cram in on the 07 of Ezekiel Reyes. Last time by, though, a little bit of work to do. He set a 29.101. Reyes set a 29 flat, and so Mero just a little bit slower that last time by. The gap is manageable, almost a full second between the two. However, we could see it shrink if Reyes starts to fall off just a little bit. And tires, of course, very big, especially in this section of the track where it's really flat. You really have to manage the throttle. You don't want to spin the rear tires too much in this NASCAR Xfinity Series car just because of the wheel spin, just because of what bad you can do with the lack of downforce. So you really got to be careful off of that corner. Turn 1 and 2, you can be a little more lenient, or rather turn 3 and 4, rather, you can be a little more lenient on the car. And you can match the throttle just a little bit more, and the car won't necessarily react too harshly. But in this part of the track right here, the very shallow section going back to the back straightaway, gotta be really careful with how you apply the throttle. The car can really step out in front of you, and you can have yourself a handful to get it back to correction. And it doesn't seem to be a big problem here in the nighttime skies of Avondale, Arizona. It's been a colder track temp than we probably expected. We usually expect Phoenix Raceway to have some of the hottest temps in the sim and in real life. Into the nighttime, the desert gets really cool over the winter months. And so that has allowed the cars to really grab into the racetrack, get as much grip as possible. And it has kept Parker White all the way in the race lead. Now gapped up to 1.7 seconds between this 95 and the 26. So it may need a caution to bring everybody back together. There was lap car league owner Brayson Collins getting out of the way. He's already moved back. He's already one lap down. Shane D. Mantoba is next on the move to try and get around this lap. Camaro, Ezekiel Reyes, Gino Mero back to the top 5. Looks like Joe Berge may have beaten Brady Cox to the lead in the P6 era. So he's able to move there. Brady Cox has settled into 7th. Christian Visconti, your 2-time winner this season, hasn't been able to make any further progress than P8 so far. And Jay Mulder, despite having some of the oldest tires in the field, the driver of the 51 has definitely been in good spirits, and he's been able to keep his car content, and he may be able to walk away with a top 10 tonight. So as we get down to the final laps here from the Phoenix Raceway, Parker White will cross the start-finish line, and we will get exactly 4 laps to go in the Desert Valley. Parker White has definitely surged off of everybody in the last segment of this race after it looked like he was not going to have a chance all the way deep in the field when the yellows started to fly. He was really able to bounce up on the long run, get a good amount of pit road strategy to his advantage, and now only just a handful of miles away from his very first WORC Dynamo Designs National Series win. It's now 2.1 seconds between him and the 26 of Garrett White. There's lap car Frederick Seagraves and his machine, the 95, going straight into the outside wall. Not a good sight you want to see if you're trying to lap around, but fortunately Seagraves is going to stay out of the way, going to remain out of harm's way. And so White will get around without any quarrels at all. Looks like we may have a battle for third on our hands before this race is done. That's Shane D. Mantoba, Ezekiel Reyes, potential battle for the final spot in the podium. Reyes runs a little bit high in 3 and 4, but as Parker White comes to the line for 2 laps to go, time may be running out for the number 07 machine. Remember, we saw him in the top 5 at Atlanta a couple of weeks ago, and so he's going to be looking for another top 5 in this Dynamo Designs National Series season, but the focus lays on the Toyota Supra, the North Force machine. Parker White to the white flag in the Cactus 125. And on the KBueno Racing Network, you regard him as a driver, a contender in the iRacing Bungeon Lawn Care Series just last year, has picked up the pace ever since. And in his first start, not fazed by the competition, not fazed by the track, not fazed by the combo, the 95 is going to come off of 3 and 4, and Parker White will grab his very first WORC Dynamo Designs National Series win from Phoenix. Checkered flag waves, Garrett White back to P2. It's Ezekiel Reyes into third after getting by the 20 of D Mantova. Reyes grabs his first podium of the season. Shane D Mantova falls merely to P4 in his debut effort. A solid run for the number 20 Martin Sports Toyota Supra. Gino O'Mara, after coming up short just last week at Kansas, not able to replicate a front-running effort, although he rounds up the top 5. A very great race for the driver of the number 71. But for the 95 of Parker White, the spotlight remains on him from Phoenix Raceway, and he will burn it down. Parker White, your winner from Phoenix. A great night all night long. After starting P27, was able to move his way up to the field without trouble. And the 95, definitely a solid effort tonight. He continues to burn it down. He continues his celebration, and we will talk to him in just a couple of moments. As we wrap up our post-race coverage, we'll get to our post-race interview section where Parker White will stand into victory lane. I believe he's going to be able to get into victory lane. Remember, we saw that as a new addition to the newly renovated Phoenix Raceway. And I believe maybe Parker White will get there. He's going to be limping around pit road. We'll just have to find out if he's able to step into victory lane proper. And I believe he's going to find his way there. There he goes, right into the entrance. And right up the ramp he goes. Parker White, your winner tonight from the virtual Phoenix Raceway, as he sits directly into victory lane. So while he steps in, while he's going to begin his celebration, why don't we go through the results, see exactly where every driver finished at the end of 83 official laps for the Cactus 125 here from Avondale, Arizona. Parker White, your race winner, leading the most laps all the way in that final segment, is able to grab his first win of the campaign. Garrett White, a strong performance at Kansas, did not get in the win, but tonight definitely a solid effort in P2. Ezekiel Reyes with a last lap pass on Shane D Mantova is able to get the best on the last spot of the podium. Shane D Mantova, a great debut effort for the 965. He comes home fourth. Gino O'Mara on the 71, another solid run in the point standings for him. He rounds out your top 5. Nova Sim Racing, represented by Joe Berge in the 83 and P6. Brady Cox, your pole sitter, after leading the most laps out of anybody in the field. Unfortunately, an incident earlier in the race sends him out of contention for this last segment. Christian Visconti not able to rework the magic for 3 straight wins in this season, but an 8th place finish definitely going to keep him solid in the point standings lead. Canadian Jay Mulder, on the oldest tires of the field, along with Hunter Collier, is able to manage in his Chevrolet Camaro. He's in P9. Mason Sweet in the 56. Great run for him as he caps off the top 10. Timmy Spatz in the 44 rounds out your top 11. Shane Fuller, a great run for him. He's in P12. Hunter Collier, remember, he was in the same group as the number 51 of Jay Mulder on the old tires. He finishes 13th tonight. Aaron Giffen in the 4. Despite some heavy contact through many of the wrecks tonight, a great 14th place effort regardless. Ethan Workman is able to work to P15 tonight. DJ Powell in the 68 rebounds from early troubles to be 16th. Nathan Christensen in the 09 didn't really see him all night long, but he ends up P17 on the racetrack. Frederick Seagraves is the first driver 1 lap down in 18th. Bryson Collins also 1 lap down, your league owner, in 19th. Ryan Martin 5 laps down rounds out your top 20. Some of the final drivers in this field: Dimitri Mandros, after some damage from a wreck, sends him back to P21. Chris Brown, a solid effort earlier on tonight, but a crash takes him out in P22. Nick Penna in the 52 gets sent almost to the garage, 33 laps down in 23rd. Justin Haley, no damage on his race car. Seemed as though there were no problems, but unfortunately had to leave early. But a great run for the NASCAR Xfinity Series driver, the real-life NASCAR Xfinity Series driver. He ends up P24. Landon Dawson in the 077 rounds out your top 25, followed by Logan Pugh, Harrison Mitchell, Lucas Lyons, Quentin Haley, Richard Mendonça, all the way through P30. Final drivers in this 33-car field include Ethan Harrison in the 77, Mitch Hobbs for Nebula Esports in the 32nd position, and Connor Trafari, 84 laps down. He did not start a single lap here tonight from Phoenix, so he ends up rounding out your full 33-car field. Before the driver of the number 95, or should we call it 982, definitely in some great spirits. The 95 of Parker White is in victory lane I believe we're going to be able to talk with your race winner as he gets to victory lane for the very first time in this WORC Dynamo Designs National Series season. Parker, we have you in victory lane, and after starting all the way back beneath the top 25, we know the skill that you have here in the sim, but how were you able to walk all the way through the field to position yourself in that final segment to come away with your very first win this season?
Yeah, I decided to start in the back because I'm not going for points or anything. I'm just racing for fun. Then we got a quick caution, and one thing that I completely forgot about this league is I guess a single file restarts. So that was extremely hard because I was like 7 or so seconds back from the leader once we got it all sorted out after that one lap we did. So my biggest problem was like keeping my tires on the car as I'm going through the field. So I just kept running the bottom, just keeping the tires cool, but I still had to use some tire when I was passing people because the top side just gets such a run that I have to use tire on the bottom in order to get around them. So they won't get as big of a run on the straightaway, and I'll have a chance to still be on their left rear going into the corner. So it was just doing that all the way up until I got up to almost the lead, and then we got a restart, and I put myself on the wall. So I pit one because of the damage, and so I could top off on fuel because it was going to be close. But luckily that wasn't a factor because we got another caution, and I thought the tires were going to be a big factor, but I didn't take them. I just put fuel in it so it'd get looser, and I knew that other guys did take tires, so I was just worried about them. But I was able to keep the tires on the car still. Then that run went all the way to the end, so I was happy about that. And yeah, it was a pretty fun race overall. And after hitting the wall, I'd say I did a pretty nice job.
And you're able to work through most of the field. I know, especially off of turn 2, that one time on a restart looked a little bit sketchy. You're able to find your way through, and you get to victory lane here tonight from Avondale, Arizona. I know this race obviously isn't points-wise for you. You're not running overall for the bigger picture in the championship, but, I mean, you did face a very interesting track. I mean, this is the renovated Phoenix Raceway after what was a while without any sort of updates to this track. So what has definitely been the most notable factor of the way this configuration has treated you on the iRacing side with this brand new look comparative to what we used to have before the update?
For me, definitely the start finish line. I'm pretty sure that's basically everyone's biggest thing, but also the entrance to now what is turn 3 and what used to be turn 1. It's a lot different for me now because the car gets into the corner and then it's like the splitter hits the ground and it will either turn really nicely or it will just go straight. And it kind of depends on the setup you have. Like back in the Pro Series season, we had that set like on the ground, so it would just go straight. But the heights were off the ground, so it wasn't doing it as bad, but the fuel fill was down, so it was still tight. But yeah, it's definitely way different than the old Phoenix, a lot tighter, it feels like, but it's a ton of fun to drive.
And of course, I think you had a whale of a time over the front of the field. You gapped everybody else. And I think here, Parker, I think this is the first time we broadcasted a win of yours in the league since, I believe, Bungeon Lawn Care Series Daytona Road Course. I think I could be wrong, but I think I may be right on that one. So it has been a while, but nonetheless, Parker, I mean, before we let you go, is there anybody you just want to thank for making this possible? I know your teams are possible. Anybody else you want to mention for making this all happen?
Yeah, I've just got to thank you, Kenneth, for the broadcast. Every time I go back and watch a broadcast, it's always, I'm going to be completely honest, the best I've ever seen. And you're one of my favorite all-time commentators. So it's pretty cool for me to be talking to you right now. And I'd like to thank Northwest Racing, SRD, and Stoneman Studios.
We definitely appreciate the support, Parker. Of course, that means a lot to me as a commentator, and of course, for you as a driver, I know that the respect is there, and you're one of the best on the sim. And I think in 2022, we're going to be excited to see you repping the Road to Pro Series and go for the eNASCAR Coke Series all the way to the top level. But Parker, from here on the WORC Dynamo Designs National Series side, I want to congratulate you on behalf of us at the KBueno Racing Network from Phoenix Raceway, and I believe we'll see you at Las Vegas, or hope to see you for the rest of the season.
All right, thank you, Kenneth.
That's Parker White, your race winner tonight. The 95 Toyota Supra, the Snowman Studios car, able to get to victory lane for the first time tonight. And from a last name White, we go to another last name White. This time, the Clemson Toyota Supra. It'll be Garrett A. White in the 26 after starting in P11. And Garrett, obviously, it was a battle of the whites between you and Parker White all the way to the finish. But, I mean, walk us through it. You had a sort of up and down night after, of course, Candace didn't go your way after dominating. I mean, just give us your perspective of the first short track race here in this season.
I'm kind of glad I had a little bit better luck tonight than I had the past 2 weeks. Yeah, just a simple race for us. Just ran inside the top 5 most of the night and secured a good points day.
Definitely a good point, Stay. And I talked to Parker about this, of course, of this new Phoenix Raceway, just how different it is from the older Phoenix Raceway that we used to have on the iRacing sim. For you, what seemed to be the biggest challenge? Because I know you were in the midst of the Hornet's Nest. There were a lot of drivers around you. So how was it to tackle a brand new look at the Phoenix Raceway while also trying to beat a bunch of other drivers to get to this point?
Yeah, I think the biggest like challenge of the racetrack is just hitting your marks. If you miss the braking zone, you're gonna slide up the track and potentially hit the wall. So that's a difficulty. And then for the restarts, it's just like any other race. You just have to know your gaps and just watch out for some of the chaos that might happen.
You're able to bounce off of all that chaos. You were able to get around it, and then that last run really brought us to the end. I want to ask you though, what seemed to be it on the long run? Because it seemed as though up to that point, this was the longest run that we've had all night long in the Cactus 125. It seemed as though every time a long run would develop, a yellow would start to come out. So for you, how were you able to try to get around that? How were you able to siphon through all that while also, of course, keeping your focus as the caution started to fly?
Yeah, I was not expecting to have such a long green flag run there to the finish. I think that kind of cost me a chance to go at Parker for the win because I think I burnt the tires up a little too much. But that's just Phoenix, I guess. Just not using your tires and just keeping a good pace.
You're able to do it tonight over the long run. You're able to move to second, and of course, like you said, very good point stay here tonight on the first short track race of this WORC Dynamo Designs National Series season. Before we let you go, Garrett, from Phoenix on this finish, is there anybody you just want to thank for making this all possible?
Yeah, I want to thank my teammates on Whiteout Sim Racing. We all worked really well together. I think Ethan Workman had a good top 10, I think, or maybe not, but he ran well, and Demetri Munoz did too. So good day for Whiteout Sim Racing.
Definitely a lot of momentum heading into Las Vegas next week. Garrett, want to congratulate you on this P2 finish here from Avondale, Arizona, and of course, wishing you and your team the best of the luck when we head to the Sin City and our third 1.5-mile track of the season.
Yep, thank you.
That's Garrett White, who was able to come home and finish P2. Of course, not in range at the end to beat Parker White, but a solid effort. And of course, like he said, great points effort moving in after what was a solid first stretch of this season. Going to mean a lot going into the next 1.5-mile affair at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. It'll be our time, though, to talk with the final driver of our interview section, and it'll be third place, Ezekiel Reyes. This feels weird a little bit because I remember talking to you up in the booth not too long ago at Daytona, but you're able to move through. You got through Atlanta. It was a top 5 finish for you as everybody was wrecking across the start-finish line. You did not show up at Kansas just last week, but you're able to rebound, come back here at Phoenix. Give us the experience of what that was like returning to the series and how you feel you did tonight.
Oh, man. I'm actually pretty worn out. I couldn't show up last week, actually, because I had COVID. So I had to wait out that week. But here tonight, rebounded with a P3. I accidentally shoved the hell out of Shane there on that final lap because he started a hiccup there in the end. And after that, I found my way to the inside. But I drove it in a bit too hard, too big, and doored him up for his track on accident. So sorry to Shane for that. But yeah, I really don't know what to say. I felt fast during my practice laps, and the weird thing about it is, ever since the new update, the turn 1 and 2 line got shifted up. Well, I mean, what was turns 3 and 4 in the old Phoenix is now turns 1 and 2. It got shifted up right next to the wall. And I'm used to sort of hugging that low side and just sort of trotting around there for the time being, but that line, it changed for some reason, and I had to readjust. So that took a bit. But once I got myself into a rhythm, find myself at a decently nice pace. Got a bit of optional damage somehow, but overall, the car was tight. I saw Haley, Haley, he was trapping it down in the third into the corners, and I was like, I might as well follow him through. But it just got me tighter. So found myself back to third somehow after taking that whole entire section of optional. But I think, yeah, solid P3. How about that? And I can't say much. Can't complain.
Well, you're able to move there, and of course, that final lap pass on Shane DiMantova as you were starting to catch him near the end. And I want to talk about, of course, through that mid-run, I know a lot of yellows started to come out, so you were kind of in the middle of the Hornets' nest. Walk us through what that was like, because obviously there were drivers like, Brady Cox, who had spent a good amount of the time up at the front of the field. There were some who had spent their way around the mid-pack, but you were right around, I'd say, probably fourth on back, where a lot of the action seemed to happen. So for you, what seemed to be the biggest focal point about being in that group and racing all together, especially when the restarts started to come about as well?
Passing was number one. Like, it was awfully hard to pass, especially with the tight setup and such. Again, with a new line coming into turns 1 and 2, everybody was still hugging the bottom side of the racetrack, but you could sort of nose up your car against the barrier and get a run onto the straightaway, onto the backstretch, and start passing cars that way. But when everybody's sort of bottled up in line and such, it's sort of hard to stick to your nose where people don't go. And it somehow made it work. I brought myself up the field slowly, but off one of the restarts, everybody bottled up off the second corner, and I nearly ran over Parker. Then the caution came out, luckily, so nothing bad happened coming into the next corner. But yeah, restarts too were especially hectic. Once everybody, double file restarts were really hectic. You couldn't really pass below until the apron until you crossed the start-finish line. So because of that, everybody was sort of at a stalemate. But once you crossed the start-finish line, everybody would fan out. So you were sort of at a waiting point there at that start-finish line to get yourself going coming into the first corner. So that was also really hectic and putting your car in the right direction and getting a nose through and where you're supposed to go. But I got through it somehow. So happy with P3.
Able to get the last step on the podium here tonight from the Phoenix Raceway, and I guess as the first short track race of the season, definitely means a lot that you've got the intermediate finish and then you've got the short track finish to move over to the rest of the season. Before we let you go though, Zeke, on this P3 effort, is there anybody you just want to thank for making this all possible? Any teams, sponsors, or just anybody else you'd just like to give the love and shout outs to?
Shout out to the chat. My Twitch chat was very entertaining here tonight. We've got a bunch of people watching for some reason, but appreciate to them, especially Gabe Allen, for giving me a headache. Also want to thank KBueno Racing, of course. Unfortunately, we're not in our usual number. We're in the 07, but 04. Woo! And got to thank this Max Speed TV as well, who was also on the car. Genshin Impact also slapped on the car. Albedo, Shao, and all the other people who I dearly love on Genshin Impact and such. But that sounded a bit cringy. I'm sorry, cringy I meant, but sorry, yeah.
Nonetheless, Zeke, want to thank you for taking the time to talk with us on the KBueno Racing Network. And on behalf of us, want to congratulate you on the third place finish here tonight from Avondale, Arizona. I think it's probably good that you got some ACOG Albedo time on KBueno Racing Network. Some more appreciation, I guess, for it. A little bit more eyes on it.
Hell
but
yeah.
Nonetheless, Zeke, want to thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us. Congratulations again. Hope you're feeling better, and of course, look forward to seeing you at Las Vegas next week.
All right, hopefully I'll be back at the booth up here next week.
As Ezekiel Reyes, third place finisher tonight, he wraps up our segment of the driver interviews. Parker White, though, your race winner, leading all the laps all the way to the finish. And it was a definitely interesting one from Phoenix. Had a couple of cautions around the way, but nonetheless, it was a good end to the race, a long green flag run, and we saw many moves through the field, whether it was for the top three, for fifth on back, even through the mid-pack, a lot of interesting action. And of course, this is not the last dose of short track racing that you will see here on the KBueno Racing Network for the WORC Dynamo Designs National Series. For everything all the way upcoming here on the KBueno Racing Network, if you liked what you saw here in the WORC Dynamo Designs National Series from Phoenix, we have more high-speed action coming for you next Thursday night, January 13th. We'll have coverage from the Sin City Las Vegas Motor Speedway. We'll have that coverage starting at 7:15 p.m. Eastern. Of course, same time, same place, right here on the KBueno Racing Network. And of course, we will move all the way down through Auto Club, Irwindale, through Volusia, the last regular season race of the season, and then all the way to Homestead of Miami Speedway, race 17, the final wave of the checkered flag. We will cap off our season with the champion, and we'll have all the coverage from start to finish right here on the KBueno Racing Network. So So on behalf of everybody that makes it all possible, for Brayson Collins of the WORC League, and for Dynamo Designs for all their support throughout this series, for everybody at the KBueno Racing Network for making this all possible, for Charlie Byer, Francisco Bacquiao, my name is Kenneth Bueno, saying so long, good night from the Phoenix Raceway. Congratulations to Parker White on his very first WORC Dynamo Designs National Series win. We'll catch you next week. We'll go for some gambling. We'll try to get the jackpot at Las Vegas in 1 week time.